The young musician you're about to meet has a slightly unusual story. Looking for a way out of the pressures of classical music, he's found some relief in a way that is challenging for all those around him. Andy Park has the story.
So I started when I was 8.5 on the violin, and that was when I sort of wanted and realised, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. To me, music was my whole life, and it was kind of my identity.
He was quite a talented violinist.
But there was something else going on that we weren't aware of at the time. As I said to Glenn, look Glenn, I can't agree with this because it's contrary to my core beliefs as a Christian.
They say the way to overcome your fear of public performance is to imagine the audience naked. But this classical musician at least appears to have made a catastrophic error. This is a story about facing your greatest fear. A fear so malevolent in one talented young classical musician that it literally crushed his dream of playing with some of the world's great orchestras.
Yeah, London was amazing. Everything about London was like the time of my life, you know.
It's not easy to get into the Royal Academy of Music. He got accepted there. So yeah, we thought, great, you know, he's really done well for himself.
It really culminated in the London Symphony Orchestra itself. You know, that was an incredible opportunity, and I'll never forget, you know, every concert that I played in them, you know, but I felt like I was in a straitjacket. But really it was mentally, you know, I really wasn't coping very well with all the hyper-competitiveness.
Just how dangerous are those pressures to succeed and to compete in that top echelon of the classical music world?
There's this whole kind of culture of perfection, you know, and everything has to be perfect and very, very excellent and very kind of crafted and curated. But really in all of classical music, culture and training, you know, that's kind of how it is.
It's not good, aren't you, fella? Wow. You gonna catch this?
Glenn's mentor and violin teacher was Charmian Gadd, herself one of Australia's most highly respected violinists.
When I first met Glenn, he was a little kid, really, I suppose, about 12 or something. Well behaved, nicely dressed, real little good boy, you know, trying to please everybody. And of course, to get a job, there's incredible pressure these days. There are hundreds of people trying out for every job in an orchestra. And the auditions, they are really something that people would crack under. Most people do.
So what's the first moment that those body image issues start affecting your career?
I can't even remember why, but I started equating the idea of not exercising and not having a flat stomach with not being a good boy, you know, and not practicing the violin enough and not being disciplined enough and not being who I should be. That's just what I started, you know, telling myself in my mind. So I started to realize that, you know, I have a body, you know, shame problem here. I didn't find a way to overcome, you know, my anxieties and my nerves problems, you know. I gave it all up. I just said, this is it, you know, I'm not going to be a musician anymore.
Did you burn out?
I would say I absolutely burnt out. You know, I burnt out without realising it.
Suffering depression on his return home, Glenn decided to do the last thing that anyone expected.
I started deciding to embrace who I was, and I'm still in the process of doing that very much, but just starting to accept myself. And yeah, that's when all the nudism started.
I mean, this is the one thing that someone with body image issues like you just couldn't do. So how do you face your fear?
Sometimes you just have to count 1 to 5 and jump in.
Glenn is now a passionate and professional nudist. Today he's posing in life drawing classes for the likes of Peter Smeeth, the artist who only this week won the Archibald Packing Prize for his portrait of broadcaster Lisa Wilkinson. I don't imagine Lisa gave you this sort of angle.
No, Lisa was fully clothed.
And I mean, obviously, Glenn is using this as a way to overcome some of his, challenges. Could you do what he's doing right now?
Probably not. I wouldn't be as grand a specimen as Glenn.
I just feel like I'm myself all of a sudden, And I think that's why I got into nudism. I felt like I was being authentic. When you take your clothes off, you are just you.
Can you understand why he's now a nudist?
No, it's not something that I personally relate to.
Glenn's violin mentor is not the only one.
It's been very difficult for us as his parents and as Christian parents to see the way that Glenn has gone. And mainly because a lot of people who come up to us who want to talk about it, we find it very difficult to talk about it. And some people come up laughing and saying, oh, yeah, what's Glenn up to now? And we just have to say, look, I don't want to talk about it.
How torn are you? You've got your son doing this thing you don't really understand. You've got a son who's going through things you don't understand. And the outcome is that it's not compatible to your faith. What does that feel like? What do you do?
I'm not really proud of the fact that he's he's involved in nudism. I'm proud of him in the sense that he is wanting to achieve something in order to help not only himself but other people. And I've told Glenn that. I've said, look, Glenn, in one way, I'm actually proud of what you're doing because you're trying to do something to help other people. But I've said, look, I just can't agree with the way you're going about it.
Aussie guys have a problem, with their bodies. There's this whole kind of board shorts syndrome. Men don't speak out about their shame. They're too ashamed of their own shame of their body. That's the problem. That's what I really want to fight with men's body image and tell my story of how for 10 years I was ashamed of my own shame. When I play the viola or violin, I don't know why, but I love it. Probably because it goes back to that boy of 8 years old, who loved the music. And I just feel like I've got my music here and I'm myself. I'm myself.
It's still against my core beliefs, and I believe it's still wrong. But how you look at people who are involved in that, it definitely has made me rethink that.